All right, guys, let's talk about React. Can anyone tell me what React is? It's a programming language. Wrong. Wrong. It's not a framework. It's not a programming language. It's a library. Yeah. It's a UI library. As part of our academy, we train job interviews with our students. If you go to a job interview and the first thing they ask you is what React is, and you said it's a language or it's a framework, they invite you to leave the building. Yeah? I know it's something a bit stupid, but it's about details. Yeah? So React is not a framework, it's not a language, it's a library. Even though it goes beyond the scope of this session to explain the technicalities behind libraries versus framework. Okay, it's a library. Written in which language? JavaScript. That's a good point. Can anyone tell me which is the most popular programming language in the world? Is anyone still thinking that Python is the most popular programming language? Yeah. I don't know. There is a reason why some companies or some meetup groups try to convince people that Python is the one. That's not true. That's not true. There's a huge distance. Yeah? So generally speaking, don't trust people trying to convince you that Python is number one. Hey, I have nothing against Python. I love Python. But the reality says that JavaScript is not only the most popular programming language in the world, the distance with Python is huge, 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 huge. So just as a reference, I'm going to tell you something is less than 24 hours old. So it's something very fresh. You know GitHub, guys? What's GitHub? It's code repository. Well, it's where the code is, right? It's the Bible of coding. No one knows more about coding than GitHub. 97% of the code in the world is hosted by them. So they really know which languages are rocking, which languages are not. So they do provide some very nice visual statistics about the most popular countries, languages, people, all these things, right? Many, many, many things. But for the sake of this exercise, let me try, because actually they released it, I believe, yesterday. So here you go, I found it. So starting from yesterday, officially speaking, we can consider Python is top 2. That never happened before, yeah? Which is good, it's really good. But still, there are around 1 million repositories written in Java. A little bit about 1 million repositories in Python. Can anyone tell me how many repos are written in JavaScript? It's about 2.4 million. So there are more projects created in JavaScript than Python and Java combined. Yeah. So now, all right. So JavaScript is very popular. Cool, fantastic. Why? No. JavaScript is not any easier than Python for sure.
It's a web language. You can run on the back end.
These are the top 2 reasons actually. So what you said is reason number 1. So JavaScript was firstly introduced in 1995, on the 4th of December. In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, the first version of JavaScript was written. In 1995, no one really cared about a web browser. Yeah, I believe half of you were not even born in 1995. But does anyone remember which was the most popular web browser in 1995? It was Netscape 4, that's correct, yeah? Netscape 4. At that time, no one really cared about the web browser. It wasn't such a popular piece of software compared to how it is today, yeah? And JavaScript knocked the door of Netscape. And they said, hey, I'm a new programming language. Do you mind if I can run natively inside of your shell? And Netscape said, yeah, why not? So JavaScript got married to a web browser in 1995. The only language, still 24 years later, is the only language that runs in a web browser. Yeah? So because what we already know, now a web browser is everywhere. It's probably the most important piece of software. When you get a new laptop, the first thing you do is you open a web browser, right? Web browser is everywhere. It's on my MacBook Pro. It's on my tablet, it's on your smartphone, on your iPhone, in some smart watches, on the majority of the smart TVs. So the web browser is everywhere. As a side effect, JavaScript is everywhere. Yeah? So again, JavaScript is not any better, it's not any easier to learn, it's none of that. It's just everywhere. And because it's everywhere, with JavaScript, we can do something amazing. We can build a piece of software once, and then we can release it to all our devices. Yeah? I've been working for companies like SkyTV. And at SkyTV, they had many teams doing the same thing. They had the iOS team, they had the Android team, they had the web team, they had the iPad team. So whenever they wanted to release, still today, a new piece of functionality, all the teams in parallel, they need to build the same piece of functionality adapted for that device. Yes, with JavaScript, doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, you've heard about something like progressive apps or hybrid apps. So this is about JavaScript. Yeah, so JavaScript is clearly dominating modern software because it simplifies the process of developing a new piece of platform. You talk about backend. That's a good point. Yeah, before 2009. If you got some money and you wanted to create a new software company, you had to hire at least 2 developers, at least 2. You had to hire a JavaScript developer, HTML, CSS, front-end, web browser, and you also needed a back-end developer for the APIs. PHP, Java, C#, Python, I don't know. But you needed 2 profiles because finding a single developer, full stack, that was very exotic, still today. Yeah? People tend to orient themselves into a particular part of the journey. And someone back in 2009 said, hey, wait a minute. If we assume that we really need JavaScript, because it runs on the front end, it runs on the web browser, we need it, why can't we run JavaScript on the back end as well? So if you know JavaScript, you become automatically a full stack developer. Does anyone know what's the name of the technology? It is Node.js. Node.js, yeah, sometimes when I think about it, I think like, all right, this is like 15 years old, right? I mean, I've been coding JavaScript since 2002 without a stop. And sometimes I believe that Node is pretty old, but Node was released in 2009, so it's 10 years old. It's not that old, yeah? So thanks to Node, many historical job opportunities that used to belong to Java, to Python, to C# now belong to JavaScript, yeah? That's why there is a huge shortage of JavaScript developers. And that's why our people here get access to the market, yeah? Because we focus on JavaScript and React. All right, so let's talk about JavaScript. We know that React is we may be thinking that React is the king of JavaScript. It's the most popular UI library. That's controversial, But still, regardless of whether it's top 1 or top 2, it's very popular, yeah? So do you know who looks after React? Who is the owner of React, guys? It is Facebook, that's correct. Before React, does anyone know who was the former king of JavaScript before React? It was Angular, that's true, right? So who is the owner of Angular still today? It's Google. It's Google, yeah? I was one of the first Angular developers in the world, and at some point I changed to React because it was easier. Yeah? You can build more in less time. It's all about productivity. So you see the battle, right? Even though we may be talking about many technicalities, APIs, performance, at the end of the day, big picture is Google versus Facebook. And now, thinking ahead, who is the main rival of React today on the horizon? It is Vue, correct. And who is the owner of Vue? Say it again?
There's one fellow, there's no
But there's someone, right? Someone maintains Vue. It's on GitHub, correct. So who is the founder of Vue? Who created it originally? There isn't any big corporation behind Vue, but there is a lot of investment from the Chinese. Yeah? So China, for the first time in history, is trying to control the web. Yeah, you see the battle. It's Google, Facebook, and now the Chinese. They are asking for their slice of the cake. Yeah, because whoever dominates JavaScript dominates the web, and that means big words. Yeah. Which one do you think is more popular? Is it Vue or React? Do you think it's React? Say it again. Vue seems.
When was Vue first made available?
A few years ago. 2 years ago. All right, let's do something. When you ask yourself about how popular something is on GitHub, my suggestion is go to Google and type React GitHub. Oh, React GitHub. Here you go. So we can do something. We can see, I mean, this is not rocket science, right? but as an original estimation, you can see how many people has started the project. That gives you an idea, finger in the air, of how popular a repository is. So now keep that number, right, 139K. So I'm going to repeat the same exercise with Vue.js. So 139K versus 152. So you can see that globally speaking, Vue is more popular. Because of historical reasons, we in Europe, in Western world, we believe we are the center of everything, but that's not true, right? So Vue is today, globally speaking, more popular than React. However, I think it's fair to say that in Europe and in the US, React is way more popular. In other words, why do we teach React in our academy instead of Vue? Because generally speaking, you want to live and work in Europe, not in Shanghai, right? But just bear in mind that if at some point in your life you want to move to Far East, this is something to know, We are now in conversations to run a Meetup group in Tokyo, Codery group in Tokyo. So definitely we need to talk about Vue. It's the way it works. Thankfully, because now we tend to simplify things a lot, Vue and React, they have many similarities. So it doesn't really matter. Once you learn one, mastering the other, it's not a piece of cake, but it's something easy to deal with, Moving from Angular to React was a big pain in the ass. It was like a mind-blowing thing, But now, thankfully, this has changed. All right, so this is a bit of the history, right? And that's why we are doing React. Cool, so I'm going to assume that everybody has watched the video that we've shared on Meetup, Meetup event, where we tell you to set up a couple of things. So essentially it's about installing Node, because we want to create a Node application, and installing Visual Studio Code, which is the text editor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please refer tomorrow to the video, right? Because that will help you to follow the next minutes. So once you've done that, we can start working with React. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bootstrap my first React application. And how do we do that? So the only thing we need to do is to type the following: create -react-app. That's the name of the engine, and then the name of your application. It doesn't really matter the application name, right? From a semantics point of view, it should reflect the spirit of the application. So I would like to build a list of things, and I'm not very opinionated today. So you can suggest what do you want to build today. So we can build a list of Hollywood actors, car manufacturers, football teams, politicians. I don't really care, right? So what do you want to build today? Football teams? All right? So let's talk about football teams. So football teams, Again, feel free to change the topic. I don't really mind, The important thing is to learn how to deal with React. Something we used to say when talking about coding is it doesn't really matter what you build. The important thing is to make sure that you are motivated about that topic. If what motivates you is to create a list of porn actors, go for it, Everyone has different appetite, that's fine. The important thing is you need to wake up in the morning and sit in front of the computer and feel motivated to keep working. If you're not motivated about it, it's like reading a book, right? With kids, it's very important that they feel comfortable with the book they are reading. If they suddenly have to read Shakespeare, they will give up, So that's the same thing. It doesn't really matter what you build. Feel comfortable with the topic. All right, so let's assume that I'm a football fan, so I want to build a list of football teams, So we create the name of the team, and then a picture of the team, or a football player, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, right? Cool, so once you got that, create React app space football teams, I press enter, and then essentially now Facebook will download all the dependencies, plugins, all we need, and hopefully only what we need, fingers crossed, to start working with React. Creating a modern piece of software is complicated. In the 90s, it was just right-click, new file, index.html, and then you start building your multi-billion application. But today, in 2019, that got a bit more complicated. So you see many things are happening under the hood, But essentially, after a couple of minutes, depending on your laptop, it should be pretty much ready. Before going any further, Well, you know that now essentially what happened. So now Facebook has created a new directory on my system. Yeah? And when I'm talking about my system, I'm referring to my home directory. This is very important, guys. This is very important. This is where people get confused. What is your home directory? Well, it depends, as usual. So let's assume you're a Mac user. If you're a Mac user, your home directory, you can find it easily with a home icon, right? If you're a Windows user, that could be a bit more challenging. The Windows user directory is something like that. C:/users/ your username, for instance, sexyboy24, / the name of your project. In my particular case, will be football teams. Yeah, that's an example about how the home directory will look like. Why this is important? Because the next step is to open that project with Visual Studio Code, VS Code. So VS Code is the most popular coding editor in the world today, created by Microsoft. Yeah? It's completely acceptable if you don't like it. If you have any other favorite IDE, it's fine. Yeah? The important thing about the software is not how you build it, it's the eventual outcome. Yeah? We recommend to use VS Code because it has many advantages compared to any other existing editor like Sublime, Atom, IntelliJ, or any of these, right? If you want to talk about the details, we can catch up later. Anyway, so assuming you like VS Code, I would like now to do something. First of all, I need to bring it, I don't know why it's open on a separate window, so this is going to be a bit complicated because I cannot really see anything on my screen. All right, so let me close it. Let me try to open it again.
What you're doing, just a question. When you ran the initial command, right, around generating the new application, really, right? That just runs that and actually creates it in the directory that you're currently in. It
Yes.
doesn't automatically put it into your home drive, right? So
No.
if I've created one that's called, I don't know, development and then
Yep.
React,
Yep.
it will then
That's correct.
create it in that directory.
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. So the application is created on whichever directory you are at the moment. So if I mess around and I go to see the downloads and I run the command again, my application will be created on the downloads folder. Unless you do something like that, if you just open a new terminal, it will default to your home directory. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So this is essentially Visual Studio Code. And now what I would like to do is to open my project. So how do we open a project? We need to go to File, Open. And once again, that's the tricky part. We need to find where your home directory is. If you're a Mac user, I cannot zoom the Explorer, I'm afraid. But if you're a Mac user, you know how to access the home directory. If you're a Windows user, you need to navigate a bit through your folder system. Yeah? Once you found the project, just select it and click Open. After 5-6 seconds, the project will be loaded. Next time if you restart your laptop, next time you open VS Code, it will be there already. So you don't have to do that again. Yeah? Cool. So whenever we work with a new piece of software in the JavaScript world, we need to start the server. Yeah? We need to start the server. That's the way our application becomes available. So to start the server, we need to type on the terminal. We need to type something. We'll see in a minute. Technically speaking, I could use my external terminal. But I hope you agree with me that from a productivity perspective, that's not ideal. Why? Because if I'm typing here, whatever, if there is any error, if there is any warning, any alert, it's going to be sort of hidden, right? Because my focus is going to be on the coding part. It's going to be here, not there. So I don't like that. I don't like that sort of ping pong between windows. I try to minimize as much as possible the tab navigation. Yeah? I want to have all the sensible information available for me at one glance. What that means? I'm going to show you how to enable an integrated terminal here as part of VS Code, which is fantastic. It's absolutely outstanding. To do that, you need to go to the menu that you cannot see at the moment, but on top of on the menu on VS Code, there is an option called Terminal, and then you can select New Terminal. So once you select New Terminal, here you go. Yeah, you got the terminal here. So now we can start the server. So how do you start a server in JavaScript, guys? npm start, fantastic. So far, I've done nothing new, right? So all these steps were described on the video that all of you have watched already. So npm start, I press enter, and then let's see what happened. Look, I didn't even change the focus to my web browser. I didn't touch my laptop at all. However, I hope you can see that now Google Chrome is trying to render something. So we'll see in a minute what happened. Here you go. You see? So if you get the React logo, that has nothing to do with Chernobyl. That means that your laptop is ready to start coding. Yeah? That's the way you prove everything is okay. So once you get that, we can start coding. And how do we start coding? I think the message is pretty straightforward. Edit source/app.js and save to reload. How do we do that? Back to Visual Studio Code. And now you see on the left-hand side, you see the navigation panel. We can click on src app.js. Yep. So once we got that, we can modify that piece of code. Can anyone tell me which language is that? Is CSS? No, that's not CSS. It's ESX. Sorry, ESX. Yes, I agree on that. It's something very similar to HTML. It's not HTML, but if you know a bit of HTML, fantastic, because you can reuse many things. Yeah? So one of the reasons why React became so popular is because rather than trying to reinvent the wheels, Angular was very popular trying to figure out new principles, new patterns. React said, wait a minute, if something is there, if something works, let's just reuse it. So even if you don't know anything about JavaScript, but you know CSS or HTML, you can apply this sort of know-how, right? So that's really good. So look, you see that line, edit source app and save to reload. I'm going to change that to welcome to Coldflix. Not Cold, is it Coldflix? Sorry, not Coldflix. I was thinking, welcome to my football teams app, whatever. Yeah, just change the title. And once you've done that, back to your web browser, you don't even have to refresh it. Yeah, that's pretty exceptional. Historically speaking, you had to refresh the web browser after every change. Now it happens automatically. Welcome to my football teams app. Yeah. So you see how you see the flow, right? So you change something, you save the file. Remember, guys, to save the files back to the browser, and then the change is there. Yeah. So it's very quick iterations. We do Agile here as part of the bootcamp. Does anyone know what Agile is? Agile? Agile, yes. Agile, what is it?
Agile.
Yeah. What is it? It's a methodology to orchestrate originally software projects. Today it doesn't matter, right? If you work on a, I don't know, whatever sort of industry, I'm sure Agile will work for you. Yeah. So Agile is all about doing multiple iterations quickly. You change something, you test it with your customers, you listen to their feedback, and then you iterate again. Yeah? Cool. So based on these principles, our application is ready. So let's build something, guys. So imagine that you are Leonardo da Vinci in the 16th century, and you want to build something. You want to paint something, like. How do you think Da Vinci started to create his masterpieces? Do you think he started to build them on top of something that was already created before? So for instance, do you think he got a painting and he painted on top of the painting? Yeah? Or do you think he started from a blank canvas? From scratch, right? That's the way the artist works, from scratch. Yeah? The guy here, our neighbor, is an international artist. He has exhibitions in New York, Tokyo, yeah, and you can see all that he does. He starts from nowhere, and then he starts with his abstract art, right? I don't understand what he does. He doesn't understand what we do. It's mutual respect. Anyway, so yes, we start from a blank canvas. This is not a blank canvas. I don't really know what's that, right? I don't care about that. So the first thing I'm going to do is to delete everything. You see, I will only respect the root tag, the root div, but I'll delete everything inside of it. So now I can again add a title. Welcome to my sexy app. Happy face. So, you see, I got nothing. So now we are ready to start creating our next multi-billion app. The title, however, looks very small, right? I believe no one can really see what's going on there. So how can you change the title in HTML, guys? The size of the text in HTML? No, in HTML. H1, correct, yes, for instance, yeah, H1. So, you know, H1 is an HTML tag, and then the title, you know, is more prominent. Cool, fantastic. So let's talk about football teams. So look at what I'm doing now. I'm creating a div. So div is just a container in HTML. There is nothing particularly important to talk about here. And inside of the div, I would like to, first of all, talk about the name of the team. So for instance, I will put H3, sort of a subtitle, and then give me the name of a football team, guys. Okay, so Manchester United, right? Cool, fantastic. And now, I would like to do something, guys. I would like to add a picture of Manchester United, yeah? So let's learn how to add pictures with React. So the way we can add a picture is, you see, first of all, we got the title, the name of the team, but I want to add a picture. So we need to go to Google, and then search for a picture. So I'll literally type Manchester United, and I'll pick a random picture. Yeah, whatever. So I will select a random picture of Manchester United, and I will download it. This is be careful here, guys. When you download an image, you should save it inside of your project. Don't save it in your downloads folder. Don't save it in your desktop. Save it inside. So you need to once again find the folder that represents your project in your local system. And in that particular aspect, you need to save it inside of the SRC folder. Yeah? SRC folder. Don't save it outside. And the last suggestion, rename the file name. You will see when you download an image from Google, generally speaking, the image names are a bit weird. 1, 2, 4, like a random string, yeah? So rename it, because now we need to refer to them. So I will call it Manchester United, for instance, yeah, whatever. So once you save it, now back to my editor, I can immediately see that VS Code spotted the change. So I can click on the image, and then I get the image, right? Cool, so now, how do we add an image into the screen? We need to do two things. Whenever you want to add an image, or you want to add a video, or you want to add a piece of audio, you know, all the sort of multimedia thing, we need to do two things. First of all, we need to import it. You see there are some imports on top. That's the way modern JavaScript works. So this is like buying milk on Tesco. Yeah? You go to Tesco, you buy the milk, and then you drop the milk into the fridge. Yeah? You import it. That doesn't mean you are consuming the milk yet, but you are making it available. Yeah? Available. So that's a similar idea. So let's import the milk. Let's bring the picture. So to import the picture, we need to type import, then the variable that will host the picture. So it doesn't really matter what we type now. So let me type Manchester United from, and now the location of the picture. So now we need to set the path of the image in our hard drive. So look, the image is on the same folder as my app.js. You see, they are siblings, they are neighbors. Does anyone know, and this is not even about JavaScript or programming, so this is about how we deal with systems from the command line. Does anyone know how to access a file that is on the same directory as the current one? Dot slash, fantastic. Dot slash, and then we need to type the name of the image. Manchester-United.jpg. Be careful with the extension. JPEG, PNG, GIF, WebP, whatever. Yeah, be careful. Otherwise.
Will all of this be online?
Say it again?
Will all of this be online? Everything you're saying, will it be online?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So you see, /Manchester United. Yeah. So now, do you think if I go back to my web browser, the image will be rendered? No, not yet, not yet. So we covered 50% of the journey. Yeah. First of all, we import it, but now we need to display it. So back to HTML. How do you display an image in HTML? IMG tag. Correct. Look, IMG, and then what? SRC. Yeah. So there is a common issue, especially with junior developers, that they type SCR instead of SRC, right? SRC. And now there is one of the first differences, if not the first one, compared to HTML. In HTML, you will do something like that. /foo.jpg, right? It's not the way React works. In React, and we'll see a few times today, every time you want to refer to a JavaScript variable, and Manchester United is a JavaScript variable, we need to type curly brackets, or curly braces. Yeah? So image src equals open and close curly braces, and inside of it, you put the variable name. Manchester United. So will the image be rendered now? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yes, it does. Yeah, so we managed to print, to display our very first image. So let's talk a bit about programming culture. We'll cover all these details in our bootcamp. So can anyone tell me if you can see the variable name Manchester United? First of all, can I rename it? What happens if I call it Brexit? Will it work?
Yeah.
Look, still works, right? This is the only scenario where Brexit works as expected. Yeah? So it doesn't really matter how you label that variable. It doesn't really matter.
Just on that interest, so where you've actually rewritten the variable name,
Yeah?
is that just a feature of the application in that it will actually rewrite it where it's actually used?
That's correct. In VS Code, there is a shortcut. So there are plenty of sexy shortcuts in VS Code. One of my favorite ones is you can rename variables very quickly.
Yeah.
So look, you can select the variable name, and now if you're a Mac user, you press Command V, pop, yeah, and it will select the next instance. If you're a Windows user, I think it's Control D or Windows D or something like that. Yeah, and now I can take whatever you want. You see? Yeah. So what do you think about this variable name? It's good or bad? Will you get the job, guys? No, because that's horrible from a semantics point of view. Yeah. So if you're new to Codery, FYI, we ran the largest web event of the year, 331 people with Trainline last month. So I was talking about good patterns and anti-patterns. So this is clearly an anti-pattern, yeah, because you are missing all the semantics. The most complicated thing when working as part of a company is not to write code. Eventually you learn how to write good code. Is to be able to read code that your colleagues have written. Yeah? And to be able to read code is very important, that it should satisfy the standards. This doesn't satisfy any standard. So we should rename it. So back to the original one, Manchester United. From a syntax point of view, can anyone tell me what's the name of the case we are using here? It's camel case, that's correct, because there are two words, and each word is separated by a capital character, capital letter. What if I'm a PHP developer and I do Manchester_United? That's a snake case, fantastic, yeah, because it does like the snake up and down, yeah. And what if I go back to Manchester United, which is camel case, but I change the first character to capital? What's the name of this case? That's more complicated. That's Pascal case, fantastic. That's Pascal case, because Pascal was the first programming language to introduce it. And what if I don't like any of all these cases are valid, are accepted in JavaScript, yeah? The next one is not, but still valid in other scenarios. What if I use that? Manchester-United. What's the name of this case? Fantastic, that's kebab case. Yeah? It's kebab case because looks like it's like the blade going through the meat on the kebab shop, right? If you are about 40 years old, probably you will refer to it as Lisp case. That was the original way of describing it. But you will feel very weird talking in Stack Overflow about Lisp case. Anyway, this is not valid. And anyway, so all the others are valid. Which one is the preferred syntax? Do you think it's Snake, is Pascal, or is Camel? Camel. Yes, that's true. It's Camel. And now the next question is, why? Who decides that? In PHP, it's a Snake. Why in PHP the preferred option is a Snake, but in JavaScript it's Camel? Yes, somebody recommended, hey, if you are a JavaScript developer, you should use that. But the question is, who? Is it me? Is it you? It's not Facebook. It's not Facebook. It's not Facebook. No. Right, so this is a bit surprising. Probably you won't believe me, but that's true. You should trust me if I tell you that it is Airbnb. You know Airbnb? When you go to Barcelona to drink cheap alcohol, right? So they decide the styling standards. Style. This is about the style. Style. Why style? Because this is style, right? I mean, it will work. It doesn't matter if I use snake or camel. It will work. But which style is better? So according to Airbnb, it's camel. Yeah? And Airbnb created the most popular, not the only one, of course, but it's the most popular style guide because of its simplicity. Yeah? So Google has a very nice style guide, but essentially, no one really satisfies all the points on the standard because it's so huge, so many tiny things to look after that no one really satisfies it. Yeah? However, Airbnb is a simplified version. That's why developers love it. Cool. So let's go back to Camel. All right. Because we've changed a couple of things. United, right? Every time you change something, guys, back to the web browser. Let's see if it works. I've been working with many developers that they spend 45 minutes coding. After 45 minutes, back to the web browser, nothing works, of course, right? And then it's going to be very challenging to find where the problem is. Did I fail on minute number 1 or minute number 44? Who knows? Doesn't work. And that's why modern coding is about doing a small change, even if it's just adding an exclamation mark, back to the web browser. If it works as expected, go to the next step. If it doesn't, at least you know that this is the immediate consequence of your last change, right? Cool. So once we are happy with that, let's add 2 more themes, and you will see why. So let me copy and paste that. So give me another football team, guys. Barcelona, correct. So, and the last one?
Brighton.
What? Which one?
Brighton.
Brighton.
Yeah.
Right, so we got 3 football teams, right? And now, once again, let's go to Google and let's find some pictures. So I will pick one picture about Barcelona. Once again, please save it into the SRC folder. And about Brighton, same thing, right? Cool. So now we need to make sure that we import the appropriate images. So import Barcelona from blah, blah, blah. And the same thing with Brighton. Careful with the extension. The images, probably they will look different, right? They look a bit weird. But anyway, it goes beyond the scope of the session to talk about UI, UX. Yesterday here, we were on our very first UI, UX session, right? So you are more than invited to attend these lessons just to make sure that the application has a very sexy look and feel. Anyway, from a technical point of view, I hope you agree with me that the images are there, right? So that's all we need, at least for now. All right, So imagine that we are creating a very big football application. We want to deliver, release it to the app stores of Google and iOS and all these things. I hope you agree with me that it will be a bit exhausting to manually add hundreds of football teams. Let me present you an example. What happens if our application goes live, we start making millions out of it, and then our UX specialists notice that the title of the football clubs is very small. Yeah? Users struggle to read the name of the football team. So we can say, all right, no problem at all. No problem at all. We can change from H3 to H2, for instance, right? That's fine. H2, sorry, and then H2, and then H2, and now the titles look a bit bigger. That's fine, but again, that's fine if you have 3, 4, or 5 football teams. Yeah? Here, because we are a project-driven bootcamp, we create apps from the very first minute of the very first day. And the first app we create is Codeflix, which is the combination of Netflix and Codery. So we create an app to play TV shows. Yeah? You can imagine that if you're Netflix and you want to change the size of the title of your movies, they have probably thousands of TV shows, right? They don't go one after the other. They have a mechanism to change them all in one go. So that's pretty much what I would like to do now with React. So that sort of static markup strategy doesn't scale. We cannot build anything scalable following that pattern. To solve that, let me introduce you the concept of component. Component is arguably the most important reason why React became so popular. Yeah? Thanks to components, we can build something once and we can reuse it many times. Yeah? You know, once again, back to the Airbnb example, right? When you want to rent a room somewhere, generally speaking, you select the dates you want to be there, right? So the inbound and the outbound date. You know you got 2 calendars. Does that mean that Airbnb created or did copy-paste of the same component? No. They created the component once and then reuse it. Yeah, that sounds pretty fundamental. But in terms of user interface, that's something relatively new in JavaScript. Yeah? And React is really good on that. So let me create a component. There are multiple ways of creating components, but the most simplistic one is by typing a JavaScript function. If you don't know how to create a JavaScript function, I would like to invite you to watch our Introduction to JavaScript series in our coding platform. Yeah, I'll go back to there in a few minutes. For now, let's type function, and then the name of the function. So I would like to call it football team. What case am I using here? Wrong? Pascal. Pascal, that's important. When creating a React component, the name of the component should be in Pascal case. Yeah? That's what the style guide said. All right, so now we open and close parentheses. I know if you're British, you will struggle to get familiar with that. It's an American term, right? And then you open and close curly braces. And now what? So now we need to return a piece of HTML, or JSX to be more precise. Let me present you an example. If I type return div hello, yeah? Just as an example, yeah? So how can I display hello? I can do that. Back to my main app component, I can use it as another HTML tag, as an image, or as a div, or as a label, or as a table, whatever, yeah? I can do that. Open tag, football team, close tag. As simple as that. So now we will go back to the web browser. You got the hello message. Can I display that multiple times? Yes, of course, right? That's the beautifulness of components. We can reuse them very easily. All right, so rather than displaying hello 3 times, I want to display 3 football teams. So I would like to do something. I'm going to cut the first team, which is Manchester United. I'm going to delete the other 2 for now. And now I will replace my hello component with my football team. From an elegance point of view, that looks a bit weird. You see all these spaces? That's something that junior developers struggle a lot, and that makes a lot of difference. Yeah, I've been interviewing hundreds of developers in my life, and if they send me a test, and the first thing I see is that, it's like, they didn't pay attention to detail. Details makes the difference. We look after details here. So, thankfully, in 2019, we can automate those sort of issues. How do we format that component automatically in a relatively elegant way? Right-click, format. Boop. Yeah. So we don't have to manually look after, did they introduce one space, two spaces? Yeah. To me, that's not perfect. I will improve that. But again, that goes beyond the scope of the session. Yeah. At least that's much better than nothing. All right. So what happened, guys? Now we are invoking the component 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So do you think that I will get my free football teams displayed? No. What will we get? Manchester United 3 times, right? That's correct. You're right, guys. You're right. That's because the component is hard coding the information, both the football name and the picture. So we need to provide some details. Every time we instantiate the football team component, we need to pass the details. So first of all, let's talk about the name of the football team. So how do we do that? It's very easy. If you know a bit of HTML, you'll know how to do that quickly. We can pass attributes. Look, name equal, and then the name of the team. Manchester United. Name. Why name? It doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. You can put whatever you want here. Yeah? But keep the semantics, guys, please. Name FC Barcelona. And finally, name equal Brighton FC. Will it work? Will we get the free football teams displayed correctly? No. Why not? Correct. Even though, from the main app component point of view, we are sending dynamic data, the football team component doesn't really care. It's still Manchester United 3 times. So we need to bind both components. We need the glue, yeah, to join them somehow. And how do we do that? So in React, you can pass an argument. This is not about React, it's about JavaScript actually. We can pass something called props. Once again, it doesn't matter if you call it props or Boris Johnson. It doesn't really matter. Just set a variable name. According to the styling standards, you should call it props for readability purposes. Yeah? This is what in JavaScript we call an object. If you're not familiar with data structures in JavaScript, once again, please have a look to all the free video workshops we have in our coding platform, codely.com/videos. All right, so this is an object. So I want to replace the hard-coded static football name with my dynamic football name. So does anyone know how to access the name property of the props object? Props dot name. Interesting. Interesting. That's partially correct. So props dot name means check all the properties that the app is sending to me, and please give me the value associated to each key called name. Yeah? Would this work?
No.
Why not?
It's not in killer braces.
Look. Let's have a look to what happened now. Oh. Ugh. That's a weird football name, right? Football team name. So, as someone suggested, you remember what we explained here, that every time you access a JavaScript variable, you should surround it with curly braces or curly brackets. Otherwise, React will take it as it is. So now if I surround that expression with curly braces, boom, you see? The football team names are correct. What happened with the picture? Still wrong, right? Still hard-coded to menu. So how can we pass the pictures dynamically? Correct, set another property. let me call it picture. Again, you can put whatever you want. If I call picture, I'll have to refer to it as props.picture. If I call it Brexit, I'll refer to it as props.brexit. Yeah? So picture and then refer to the name of the variables. Yeah, picture, picture, picture. Yeah? We pass the three pictures. And once again, please remember to surround the variables with curly braces. That's arguably the most important character in React. Yeah? Will it work now? Correct. That's wrong, right? Okay, so props.picture, fantastic. All right, so let's have a look. Manchester, perfect. Barcelona, nice. And Brighton, correct. Yeah? So we managed to successfully bind a couple of properties. So now, as the last exercise of this block, I would like to ask you something. Imagine that once again we go live, our application starts getting some traction on the market, and our business analyst decides to add more details about each football team. So for instance, we want to know in which year each club was founded. Yeah? In which year the football team started to play. So how will we add that information now? Yeah? Once again, we can add a new attribute, right? So we can pass a new attribute called year. In which year Manchester United was founded, guys? Anyone know? No? Let's go to Google. Manchester United Foundation. I don't know how to find that. Probably in Wikipedia, right? I'll find it, I promise. Here you go. Founded in 1878. It's a long time ago, right? About Barcelona, I'll tell you, it was in 1899. And about Brighton, I don't know. I have no idea. Brighton, FC. How old this team is, guys. 1901. Yep, cool. All right, so now we are dynamically passing the year each team was founded. And now I would like to display it. So near to the name of the team, for instance, we can, I don't know, we can play a bit with that, right? So we can set founded in props.year. Will it work? No, why? Correct, curly braces, yeah? So once we change that, here we go. So that's the way you work with React. I hope you agree with me that this pattern is pretty powerful and beautiful. Because if I want to change the component, if I want to add some text, I change it once, and then all the instances will benefit from that change. Yeah? That's the way React works. All right, is there any questions? No? Cool. So on the last 10 minutes of this session, I would like to show you, because I would like to invite you to practice a bit of React with me. So I would like to show you how our students learn React. And this methodology has proved to be very successful for them. Yeah? So our guys managed to secure jobs pretty quickly compared to other bootcamps. And the reason is, if you go to codely.com, this is free, right? That's why I'm showing that to you. So you will see the play button on top. So when you click on it, you can do training. So you will see on the left menu a training button, and then you can practice your skills across different technologies, frameworks, and languages, right? So you can practice. So for instance, let's first of all talk about HTML and CSS. So we got hundreds of questions about this technology. So because we've done a bit of HTML, I think that will be quite beneficial, I believe. So for instance, let's talk about the basics of HTML. So look at the way this works. So we present you a problem, business-oriented problem. Please create a user interface for mobile devices, black background with some yellow text on top of it. Yeah? And we present you how your user interface should look like across different devices. Mobile phones, tablets, laptop, and 4K TVs. So now it's up to us on the right-hand side to write a bit of HTML and CSS. So does anyone know which text editor are we using here at Codity on the online version? It's VS Code. It's the same technology we use to create web application, which is absolutely fantastic. VS Code is written in JavaScript. It's one of the most complex and important pieces of software, open source software written in JavaScript. Because it's JavaScript, we can use it on the web, right? So here I can use all the tricks. I can copy lines. I can change things. Yeah, it's literally fantastic. All right, so the HTML has been already written for us, so now we need to do a bit of CSS. So do you know in CSS how to change the text color? Color. So it should be yellow, I believe, according to the instructions. So let's paint it in green color. Yeah, see if it works or not. It shouldn't work, right?
Excuse me, can we try this or this is only available for?
No, it's free. It's open. We got people from 51 countries. Yeah. So to join it, go to codity.com, and then sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Yeah. So you will see play button. So if you join it, you can. Yeah, but the account is free. Yeah. So some of the modules are private. So for instance, this particular, that was a bad example to be honest, because this particular module, this is private for our students, right? But anyway, let me complete it. So when you test it, you will hopefully see in a second. Yeah. So first of all, we present you what we expected. We expected the text to be yellow. What you return? You return the text in green. What's the diff? Look, so this is a technology that we have created. So we are comparing pixel by pixel both images. And this is like, you know, the drug test that they drop a liquid, and if you have any drugs, they change the color, right? It's what the documentaries on Discovery Max shows on the airports and all these things, right? So this is essentially what we're doing here. We're comparing pixel by pixel the code. And if it does not correct, we obviously throw an error. If you fix it, then hopefully you'll get some confetti time. Yeah, it's interesting because there are some investors interested in participating, and they don't care about the technology; they just care about the confetti.
You didn't have to set the background color though.
Say it again?
You didn't set the background color.
No, because black is default in this particular scenario. Yeah, but that's a good point, because in other questions like this one, you should change the background color, right? So anyway, I'm going to skip. I hope you get the point, right? So for each module, you get 5 questions. So you have to do your best to satisfy these requirements. And at the end of the journey, and that's one of the most important aspects of our academy, we give you a score. So the score tells you how good your performance was, between 0 and 100, according to a series of metrics. Tenacity, how many questions you completed. Accuracy, how many times you failed. Speed, yeah, how long it took you to complete the challenge. Focus, how many times you went to Google to see how to change the color of the text. Wrong. And finally, elegance. Do you remember the styling guidelines? Camel case, snake case, that's the elegant stuff, right? If you find that a bit complicated, you can always compare your code with your colleagues. We've got about 1,500 developers from 51 countries playing on a daily basis with the platform, right? So you can see different code snippets. You can, if you like some of the snippets, you can upvote them or downvote them, etc. Yeah. FYI, we collaborate with many bootcamps in Europe. We collaborate with many non-profit organizations. So we help mainly in Germany at the moment, NGOs, people working with refugees, unprivileged groups, and all these sort of things, right? So this is about UI, but let's talk about React. So let's do an exercise about React all together. So about the very basics. So let me select some basic exercise. Again, I'll do probably just one question, just to give you the idea about how it works, right? So the way it works is, do you know, by the way, what TDD is? Test-driven development, yeah? So that's the way modern software should be orchestrated. It goes beyond the scope of this session to explain TDD. We do run TDD sessions, right? The reason why I'm referring to it is because our students learn TDD by accident, because this is a TDD platform. We present you the problem, we present you the test, and then it's up to you to satisfy this requirement, yeah? So in this particular case, you are expected to create a welcome to React message. And if that sounds like Chinese, you can check our videos and everything, right? Anyway, welcome to React. So let's type welcome to React. So do you think, guys, this code is correct?
No.
Why not?
There's something missing.
What is missing?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, all right.
In English.
All right. Let's evaluate it. Let's see if it works or not. Look, you're right. The exclamation mark is missing. Yeah? Coding is about details. It's about details, guys. So let's drop the exclamation mark. Yeah? And let's test again. Confetti or not confetti, who knows? We got confetti, yeah? But, again, back to styling guidelines. Yeah? Missing semicolon. Still, hey, it works. Yeah. It works. So, it's up to me whether I want to continue improving the solution or whether I want to go to the bar and drink some Jaeger bombs, right? It depends on how professional you want to be. But because we really want to be very good professionals, you know, it's still recommended today, even though I understand this is a bit controversial, to add semicolons. Yeah?
Is that determined again by Airbnb as part of the style?
That's controversial. Yeah? Again, I know some people think they are still convenient, some people think they are not necessary. Under my point of view, under my 17 years of experience point of view, it's a good thing to get the semicolons. And I have reasons, right, that go beyond the scope of the session. That's why we have the rule. Again, I respect if you disagree, right? That's, again, controversial. All right, so, and the last question, guys. Let's do one more, and then that's pretty much it. So, look at the problem here. Get the welcome message in 2 paragraphs. Look. So we're expected to create 2 P tags. P stands for paragraph in HTML. On the first paragraph, we should display welcome. On the second paragraph, we should display to React. All right. So on the right-hand side, we got the first one. So this is pretty fundamental, right? So, sorry, let's add the second paragraph to React. A break line?
No, you need uppercase R for React.
Is JavaScript case sensitive, guys? Let's have a look. Looks like it's case sensitive. Expected to React to equal to React. Yeah, so you're right. JavaScript is case sensitive, and so React is case sensitive too. So once we fix it, then hopefully we'll get some confetti time. Here you go, right? So, yeah, I'll skip the next questions. So I hope you get the idea, right? So you have to play with different exercises. At the end of the day, we have a big community with this growing every day. So you can see the leaderboards. You can see hundreds of developers here. We also run coding challenges. That's important, guys. That's important. So Coding is at the moment the most active Meetup group in Europe. So we got more than 100 new members every single week. And I believe that one of the reasons is because of that, because of the coding challenges. So coding challenge is an activity that some of you have already playing with, where developers, they work either individually or by teams, and they try to solve challenges. And the idea is to get the best score as a team. So as an example, let me show you the last international challenge we ran with hundreds of developers between Spain and the UK on the 5th of September. So in this particular case, we play by teams. There was a team in London, a team in Madrid, and here, obviously, there's a big mess. But I hope you get the point. You can see the result of inlining all the scores of all the developers. Of course, we try to play a bit with the show, so we present the results. So we display who finished, for instance. That was a big challenge, right? 47 players on it, so I'm not going to present the results. But I hope you get the point that at some point, you see who finished on top 40, on top 50, on top, you see, and then you can click on the developer name, and then you can contact them, and you can send them a message, whatever you want, right? So the idea behind is that you play by teams, then we present the average, the median performance of each country. So, for instance, in that particular intermediate challenge, the Spanish team got a median score of 82 points, and the British team got an average of 71. So that means that Spain won the challenge, won the battle, right? The reason why I'm showing that is because literally in 7 days, we have our second largest event to date, and you are obviously more than welcome. We have our second international coding party. Will be run here in London, in Holborn. Yeah, so we'll play between UK, Spain, France, and Russia. Free dinner, free drinks, free everything. So you are more than invited to join the battle. Yeah. So pretty much it. So if you like the platform, again, the majority of the content is free. So you got things like the Hall of Fame, or you can see how many people has joined the platform, the best developers of the day, the best developers by country. You can get many statistics, right, about everyone. From my side, that's pretty much it. If you like this session, if you're thinking about coding professionally, if you want to get one of these offers about 1,200 a day, and you want to work from the Bahamas or Chernobyl, well, hopefully not from Chernobyl, but I hope you get the point. We have a new cohort starting on the 6th of January. Places will sold out very quickly. By the way, I didn't mention that, but I'm not making business by running the academy. So, you got to book your place link, where if you introduce your basic details, we'll come back to you. The course is individual, so that means that regardless of whether you have coding experience or you don't have coding experience, this is provided to everyone. As a way, finally, to tell you thank you very much for attending this session, I would like to offer a special discount of 15% off if you are interested on joining our next cohort and to become a professional developer in March. Yeah? By the way, March is the best month in London to get a job, because it's the year-end thingy. Yeah, so companies, they get new budget, new teams, new opportunities, right? So don't miss that opportunity. Apart from that, I'll stay here for a while, so feel free to stay as much as you want. Let's have a chat about cars, coding, fashion, whatever. And in 20 minutes, we'll play a bit of table tennis. It's going to be super fun, so you are more than invited to stay. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to see you next Wednesday. Thank you, guys. Cheers.